Here's the mistake near about everybody makes with their very first raised bed. They figure they got to fill the whole thing, top to bottom, with good store-bought soil. And that, right there, is exactly why folks end up spending a small fortune just to fill one box with dirt. But here's the secret that'll save you all that money. Your plant's roots, they only really live in the top several inches of the bed. All that space down below, you don't need to go wasting expensive soil on it at all. You fill that part with free stuff, the very stuff most folks are hauling off to the dump. And that one little trick will save you hundreds of dollars and grow you a better bed to boot. So today, let me walk you through the cheapest way I ever found to fill a raised bed, from the bottom clear up to the top. So let me start with the problem, because if you've ever done this, you know the pain of it. Say you built yourself a nice deep raised bed, a good one, a couple feet deep. Then you back the car up to the garden center to fill it, and you start loading up them bags of soil. And you load, 'cause a deep bed is thirsty for dirt. It just swallows it right up. 20 bags, 30 bags. And you get on up to the register, and it's $200, $300 for a box of dirt. I remember the first time I ever did it, I about fell right over at the checkout counter. It's highway robbery is what it is. And I swore to myself right then and there that I'd find a better way. And after a few years of tinkering and pestering the old-timers, I did. It's exactly what I'm about to show you, and it turned filling a bed from a dreaded, wallet-draining chore into a near-free afternoon's work. Now, here's the thing that changes everything, so listen close. You got to understand where a plant actually does its growing. When you plant a tomato or a lettuce or near about anything else, its roots do the bulk of their living right up in the top 8, 10, 12 inches of soil. That's the zone that matters. Down below that, them roots hardly even go there, especially the first year or two. So why in the world would you pay top dollar to fill that whole deep bed with premium soil when your plants are only using the top slice of it? You wouldn't. And you don't have to. You fill the bottom, which is the biggest part, with free organic stuff that breaks down and feeds the bed over time. And you save the good bought soil for just the top, where it actually counts. That's the whole secret right there. So now let me show you how to build it, layer by layer. First thing, before you put a single thing in that bed, let's deal with the ground underneath it. Now, if your bed's sitting on top of grass or weeds, you don't need to go digging any of that out. You just lay down a good layer of plain cardboard right on the bottom, over top of the grass. Them big flattened out moving boxes are just perfect for it. Peel off any tape and them shiny labels first. And overlap the pieces good so no light sneaks through. That cardboard smothers the grass and the weeds down below, kills them off in the dark, and by the time it rots away in a few months, the worms have already moved right in. No digging, no chemicals, nothing. Now, one thing I got to be straight with you about, this whole method, filling the bottom up with free, bulky stuff, it's really for a deep bed. If your bed's a good 1.5 feet, 2 feet deep, well, you're in business. You got the room for all these layers. But if you went and built a shallow little bed, only 6 or 8 inches deep, then there just ain't room for them woody bottom layers. So with the shallow ones, you just fill them with a nice mix of soil and compost and call it a day. This layering trick is all about them deep beds, where filling with bought soil would cost you an arm and a leg. So, deep bed, cardboard down on the bottom, and let's start filling her up. All right, the bottom layer, and this here is the real money saver, the heart of the whole thing. Down in the very bottom of that deep bed you pile in wood, logs, big branches, chunks of an old stump, thick prunings, the bigger woody stuff. Now, folks got a fancy name for this. They call it Hugelkultur. That's a funny old German word. But don't you let it scare you off. All it means is burying wood to build up soil. So why wood? Two big reasons. First, as that wood slowly rots down over the years, it feeds your bed the whole entire time, like a little nutrient bank account paying you out bit by bit. And second, and this is the real beauty of it, old buried wood soaks up water like one great big sponge. So when you water the bed, or when the rain comes, that wood down there drinks it all in and holds on to it, and then it releases it back out slow, up to your plant's roots, all through the dry spells. Which means once this bed gets established, you'll be watering it a whole lot less than you're used to. Now, a few things to watch out for. Don't you use any treated or painted lumber down there. That's got chemicals in it you do not want anywhere near your food. And you want to stay away from black walnut wood, because that stuff is actually poison to a lot of garden plants. It'll stunt them right up. And skip any wood that was diseased. But your regular old logs and branches off near about any other tree? Perfect. And here's the best part of all. This is exactly the kind of stuff folks give away or throw out every single day. Cost you nothing. Now on top of that wood, you start filling in the middle. And this is where you get to bury a whole mountain of free organic stuff. Think of it like building a big lasagna, layer on top of layer. You want two kinds of material going in here, mixed or layered together. You got your browns, that's your dry carbon stuff. Your fallen leaves, straw, dry grass, small twigs, shredded cardboard and paper, wood chips. And you got your greens, that's your wet nitrogen stuff. Your fresh grass clippings, kitchen scraps, green weeds, coffee grounds, and if you can get a hold of some, a little aged manure. And you just keep layering them on in. A thick layer of leaves, some grass clippings, a layer of straw, some scraps, and on, packing it down as you fill up toward the top. Now here's a couple little tips for this part. 1. Try to keep more browns than greens, so it don't go slimy and stinky on you. 2. And this one's important. Water each layer down good as you build it. Get the whole thing damp like a wrung-out sponge, 'cause that moisture is what gets it all breaking down for you. And 3, if you got any old spent potting soil from last year's pots, or some half-finished compost, or even the sod you flipped over from digging the spot, all of that goes right in these middle layers too. You see what's really happening here. You're basically building yourself a big compost pile right inside your raised bed. All this stuff is going to rot on down over the season and turn into rich, dark soil, feeding your garden from below. And every last bit of it, free. Now you might be wondering how deep each of these layers ought to be, and don't you overthink it none. Here's the rough rule to go by. The top foot of the bed, that's your good bought soil, 'cause that there's your root zone. And everything below that, the whole bottom foot or more, that's all your free stuff. Biggest, chunkiest wood right down at the very bottom. Then your leafy lasagna layers filling up the middle, getting a little finer as you work your way up. Big and coarse down low, fine and rich up top. You don't need to go at it with a tape measure. Just eyeball it that way and you're golden. Hey, quick one before we get to the top layer, which is the part folks always ask me about. If you're finding this useful and you want to save yourself some real money in the garden, do an old fella a favor and tap that subscribe button down there. I share money-saving, practical garden stuff just like this every single week. Anyhow, let's cap this bed off. So now you fill that bed up with all that free stuff to within about a foot of the top. And this last part, the top layer, this is the only part you're really going to spend any money on. and it's the part that matters the most for your first year of growing. See, all them layers down below, they need a season or so to break down proper. But your plant's got to grow right now, this year. So the top 8 inches to a foot of your bed needs to be good, ready-to-grow soil. And here's what I use for it. A nice half-and-half mix of quality topsoil and finished compost. The topsoil gives it some body, and the compost gives it all the nutrients and the life. Now, some folks like to add a bit of something to lighten it up, like some coconut coir or a little vermiculite, and that's just fine. Makes it nice and fluffy. But honestly, a good topsoil and compost blend on top is really all you need. Now, here's a big money tip, even for this top layer. Do not buy it in them little bags if you can possibly help it. Them bags will cost you a fortune by the time you add them all up. Instead, you call up a local landscape supply yard and you order your topsoil and your compost in bulk by the cubic yard and have them dump a whole load right in your driveway. And it is a tiny fraction of the price of bagging it. I'm talking pennies on the dollar. So you fill just the top of your bed with that good bulk mix. You rake it out level, and now you're ready to plant. Now let me do the math for you, because this is where you really see what we just pulled off. Say you got a good-sized deep bed. To fill that whole thing with bagged soil, top to bottom, the way most folks do, you're looking at, easily $200-300 and maybe a good bit more. Now, the way we just did it, the bottom 2/3, all them logs and leaves and scraps and clippings, that cost you nothing. Zero. Free for the taking. And the top third, the good soil, if you buy it in bulk instead of them bags, that might run you, $40, $50, $60. And if you make your own compost, like I've talked about before, even less than that. So you went from $300 down to maybe $50, or darn near free if you're real resourceful about it. That right there is the difference. That's why I will never fill a bed the expensive way again. And I promise you, once you do it this way just one time, neither will you. Now, I'm always going to shoot you straight, so let me tell you about the couple of catches here, because there are a couple, and if you know about them going in, they're no trouble at all. The first one, and it's the main one, this bed is going to sink. It's going to settle down on you, because all that organic stuff down below, as it rots and breaks itself down, it shrinks and it compresses. So over that first year, you're going to watch your nice full bed drop down several inches on you. And that's normal. That's just the bed doing its job. The fix is dead simple. You just top it back off. Overfill it a little heaping when you first build it, and then each spring you add a fresh few inches of compost or soil on the top to bring it right back up. No big deal at all. The second catch. When you first bury all that fresh wood, as it starts breaking down, it can pull a little bit of nitrogen out of the soil right around it, and that could leave your plants a touch hungry. But, because we buried that wood way down deep at the bottom, well away from where your shallow roots are living that first year, and because we capped the whole thing with all that rich compost up top, it's usually not a problem at all. If you want to be extra safe about it, that first year you just lean toward planting your leafy greens and your lighter feeders up top. And then by year 2, when it's all cooked down together, that bed'll be so rich you can grow near about anything you please. So, it sinks and you top it off. Little bit of nitrogen shy at first, and you plan around it. That's the whole downside right there, and it's a mighty small price to pay for saving yourself a few $100. Oh, and one more tip while we're on it about timing. If you can swing it, build your bed in the fall, not the spring, 'cause that gives all them layers the whole winter and on into spring to rock down and settle before you ever go to plant a thing. So come planting time, your bed's already cooked, it's already done the bulk of its sinking, and it's raring to grow. Fall's really the ideal time to fill a bed this way, though truth be told, any time of year works just fine. You just top it off as she settles. So now you're probably wondering, well, where do I get all this free material? And let me tell you, once you start looking for it, it is everywhere. For your wood and your branches, call up a local tree trimming company. See, them fellas got to pay money to dump their wood and their chips, so a lot of times they'll drop you a whole load right in your driveway for free, just to save themselves the trip to the dump. For your leaves, come fall, you can drive down near about any street in town and see folks bagging up their leaves and setting them out on the curb. Why, that's pure gold they're throwing away. Just ask 'em, or grab the bags, and they'll be tickled to be rid of 'em. For cardboard, any store, any appliance shop, or just save up your own delivery boxes. Grass clippings, off your own lawn, or a neighbor's. Manure. Now, if you live anywhere near a farm or a horse stable, they have usually got more of the stuff than they know what to do with, and they'll gladly let you haul it off. Just be sure it's good and aged first before you use it. And coffee grounds. Your local coffee shop will often bag 'em right up for gardeners, just for the asking. You see, the whole wide world is out there throwing away the exact stuff you need to fill that bed. You just got to be the fella that's willing to go and get it. Now, I know a couple questions are probably rattling around in your head, so let me put 'em to rest real quick. First one folks always ask, won't all that buried wood draw termites up into my garden? And the honest answer is, out in a garden bed rotting down into soil, it's really not the worry people make it out to be. The fungus and the bugs that break down soft rotting wood ain't the same critters that go after the dry wood in your house. That said, if it'd just make you rest easier, don't you build these beds smack up against your house foundation, and you'll sleep just fine. And the other question I get, can I do this to a bed I already went and filled up with soil? Well, you can't exactly go stuffing logs underneath a full bed, no. But here's what you can do. As that bed settles and sinks down over the years, instead of running out and buying more bagged soil to top it off, you just top it with your own free compost and leaves. Same idea, only working from the top on down. And here's the thing I really want you to take away from all this. This cheap way, it ain't just cheap, it's actually better. I mean that. That bed you filled up with logs and leaves and scraps, as all that breaks on down, it turns into the richest, blackest, most alive soil you ever grew a thing in, full of worms and fungus and all that good life. And remember that buried wood down there acting like a sponge. Well, that means your bed holds its water right through the dry spells, and you're out there watering way less than the poor fella who paid $300 for a box of plain bagged dirt. And every single year that bed of yours gets richer, not poorer, as all them layers keep breaking down and feeding it from below. So you spent next to nothing. You kept a whole mountain of stuff out of the landfill, and you built yourself a bed that grows better and better while it near about waters its own self. Cheaper and better, both at the very same time. Now, it don't get much sweeter than that. So let me tie the whole thing up for you. You build your deep bed, and you lay cardboard down on the bottom to smother the grass. You fill the bottom third with wood, logs and branches, for the water holding and the slow feeding. You fill the middle up with a big lasagna of free browns and greens, leaves, straw, clippings, scraps, watering it down as you go. And you cap the top foot with good soil and compost, bought in bulk instead of bags to save your money, 'cause that top is where your plants actually grow that first year. And then you just top it off a little each spring as it settles down. That's it. That's the whole thing. You just filled a whole raised bed for a fraction of what the garden center wanted to charge you, most of it free, and you built yourself a better bed while you did it. Anyway, that's about it, really. So next time you're fixing to fill a bed, don't you dare go buy a mountain of them bagged soils. You go gather up some free stuff, and you do it the smart way. Take care now, and I'll see you next time.